call, but she is off camera and she has to drop off early. So I am running the meeting today. First, I will turn things over to Andrew for a thank you to Tim.
Thanks, LaDawn. Wayne, for some reason, your camera is on and presenting, which seems odd. But that notwithstanding, I would like to give a heartfelt thanks and recognition to Tim Hudner, who is rolling off of the State Housing Board after 2 terms plus some, prior to his 2 full terms. Just want to acknowledge Tim's service to the state and the State Housing Board. To me personally, I wouldn't probably be at the Division of Housing in DOLA had it not been for some of Tim's outreach when a job posting was placed out to the public. So a personal thanks for that from me to Tim, as well as for my first couple of years in this position, being able to take advantage of Tim's chairmanship of the State Housing Board and a very steady kind of guiding hand during that. So we have for you, Tim, a Colorado state flag that was flown over the Capitol in your honor earlier this month. We have it packaged up for you at the office. Unfortunately, we didn't get to meet in person. So Laura will be sending it to you by UPS so that you can have that at your house and, and take with it all of our thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to serve on this board and be part of all the good work you guys do. It's been also pretty gratifying to see the support that's grown over the years from both the governor and the legislature, and the appreciation for all the good work you do, and not to mention the gobs of money that you've been given. It's going to be an exciting time. I only wish I was starting now instead of ending. But with that, good luck.
Can I just add to that my
Yes,
appreciation? Please. Yes, thank you, LaDawn. Tim, I've known you just over a little over 8 years now, and all of your work on the State Housing Board has been tremendous. You've always brought great perspective, a thoughtful perspective, bringing accountability to us and to our applicants, which I think is very important as we work through things like how many elevators should be in buildings, and who we're serving. Always looking to make sure that folks that need the housing the most, we're serving with our grants and loans that we're making. So I just, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate all that you've done to make us better, which is important. High expectations for all the board members. Definitely one.
It kind of stresses me out.
Thanks, Alice.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Director Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'd be remiss, Tim, if I didn't join the choir. All these appointments to the State Housing Board, their members are made by the governor. So on behalf of Governor Polis, State of Colorado, thank you for your time and service. Certainly your views, perspectives have always been thorough, thoughtful, and measured. I think you've brought a great deal of nuanced Western Slope matters to be considered in looking at these proposals and deals over the years. So thank you for your service, and hopefully we won't see the last of you. All my best to you, Tim. Thank you very much.
It looks like Sam has his hands raised.
Yeah, Tim, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your service, and it's been great serving with you on the board. I'm going to miss you a lot, and I've certainly enjoyed your perspective, as Rick said, and you did a great job on this board, and good luck with whatever you're doing next.
Thanks, Sam.
Anyone else? Tim, it looks like we also have some comments in the chat too, so don't miss those.
Okay, thanks, LaDawn.
Yes, I appreciate all of your support and guidance as a new housing board member. We will definitely miss you a lot. So thank you so much for your service and everything you've done for the board.
LaDawn, I can't raise my hand, but this is Anthea. And Tim, I just want to thank you. You really stepped up and helped me as I was coming on as chair of the board. And you have left some really big shoes for me to fill. So thank you for that. And thank you for just always being available to be of service.
Thanks, Anthea.
Okay, it looks like
A couple more things, Ladon. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
that's okay.
No, I think that someone opened a door for a good segue for me. That we will, in our State Housing Board work session, I think back in October, one of the requests by board members was for staff to provide the Housing Board training on how we review applications, the kind of our internal staff process, and how we get from A to Z. So we have gotten a training put together for you all and would like to send out some dates. I will ask Laura or Adam to do that to get a consensus on when perhaps we can get the board together, maybe with the new board members once they are approved and brought on board through the boards and commissions office, as well as the legislature. And we can do a training both for the new members as well as our existing members. I think it'll be about 90 minutes. It might be good to try and do it either at one of the second of the month meetings that are generally an hour, or have it kind of its own standalone meeting. So just wanted to give a heads up to you all that we have a fairly robust training put together for you, and we'll be sending out a message in terms of when is good for you all as far as timing goes to present that training to you.
That is fantastic. I think we'll all need some extra training without Tim.
Perfect.
Okay, it looks like next was that your introduction part, Andrew? Do you have anything else?
That was all I had.
Okay, so we'll move on to projects. Starting with the St. Stephen Senior Apartments with Teresa McCoy.
Yeah, I'd like to introduce Danny Vachon Bell to give an overview of our project. And Danny has a couple slides, so you're welcome to share your screen now.
Great. Let's see how I do this. One moment.
At the bottom of the screen, there's an arrow pointing up in a box.
Okay. Yes. A window. There we go. There we go. We're on it. All right. Can you guys see this? Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fab. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me. I know you have a lot of projects on your agenda today, so I'm going to keep it brief and keep it open for questions. But like Teresa said, my name is Danny Vachon Bell. I'm the development director on the affordable housing side of our portfolio for MGL Partners. Thank you so much for having me. I'm here to talk about a really exciting project, St. Stephen's Senior Apartments. I think when we think about ideal locations for affordable housing, especially senior affordable housing, this site ticks all the boxes. We are so thrilled about this. This is done in a unique partnership with St. Stephen Missionary Baptist Church, which is a historically African-American church that relocated from the Five Points neighborhood into the Central Park neighborhood back a couple of years ago. And they reserved a portion of their site for future development. And they wanted it to be multifamily housing, affordable housing for seniors. And we've entered into a land lease agreement with them. They are active members of the project, giving us their insight on the overall look and feel of the site plan and of the elevations. So we're so thankful. But just to give you a flavor, I mean, this project is not only is it in Central Park, which has so many amenities. It's got pocket parks within walking distance, open space, trails, an off-leash dog park. It's right at a bus stop. It's got, it's not directly on Montview. It's one block off, which is great for seniors. So it's not as noisy, but you still have access. It's kind of surrounded by these low volume streets. There's single family homes surrounding it. It's safe. It's beautiful. There's a school next door. The church operates a daycare out of the church. So there's just a lot of kind of movement around the site that's exciting for the seniors to kind of be around and witness. There's going to be a lot of kind of crossover between sharing of amenities with the residents being able to use the amenity space in the church and be able to be invited to some of the church events. So it's just a really kind of symbiotic site. So I'm going to show you, this is our updated rendering. It didn't make it into the memo, but originally the building was going to be a little bit built into the ground. Now we're fully at grade. We have not asked for any exemptions. This is a by right project with the city of Denver. We have gone to the Stapleton Design Committee, and they absolutely think this is the poster child for a project in Central Park now. Limited parking, mainly due to Denver's new policies around affordable housing parking, but also because it's a senior building, so just fewer parking spaces needed. Proximity to transit, also fewer cars on the street. So it's just a really beautiful project in a really walkable, incredibly amenity-rich area. We're so excited about it. It's 50 units, all serving seniors 62 and older. And I'll just walk you through quickly. I don't have it up on this presentation, but I wanted to just run you through the capital stack. And here's just a view of the site plan overall of kind of where it's sitting. The church is to the south here. But we have a pretty robust capital stack for this project, and we're really grateful though to be able to be here and request additional funding dollars from the state to help us fill the gap. As we all know, interest rates have been going up, construction prices have still been rising. We're just in this kind of impossible wheel of trying to find funding. But we've secured tax credit equity from Wells Fargo at 93 cents, which is incredible. And just to give you an idea, we have a very similar project that will be coming to you for in a few weeks down in Colorado Springs, 50 units senior. The difference in the pricing is remarkable. Wells Fargo, obviously a direct investor, but 93 cents. We didn't get any direct investor attention down in Colorado Springs, so we're going with a syndicator, and it's 85 cents. So it's a big difference. Same product type, 50 unit building, 85 cents versus 93. So it's a big difference. So we're really grateful to Wells Fargo on this particular project. We have a perm loan from Chaffa. We have Chaffa Hoff money as a subordinate loan. We have IDF Capital Magnet money. We have City of Denver funds. We have a grant from Brookfield Residential, which is incredibly generous of those guys. And we have deferred developer fees. So we've been really trying to maximize all of the other funds that are possible for this deal to reduce our request on DOH dollars. So here's just another view. These elevations are a little bit old, but kind of gives you a little bit of a flavor of the building. It's going to be, Stapleton doesn't, or Central Park rather, does not have very much affordable housing at all. And if it does, it doesn't have very much senior housing. So we are just thrilled to be able to add these 50 units. We wish it was more, but we think this is just going to be a really great infill project. So I'll stop there and open it up to questions from you all and see what you have.
Do we have any questions? Sam. Sam.
Oh, wait, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Danielle, it looks like a great project and a great site. I just had one question. This is a supplemental request that you're coming in for. You're a little over $300 a square foot on the hard costs, which is drastically different than what it used to be, huh?
Yeah. I mean,
And so I guess the question is, how confident are you that these are the final numbers now, and that you can make it work with the bids that you have?
well, that's a great question. I wish I knew the answer, but we have a hard cost contingency to give us some cushion until we get GMP. So, I do have some cushion in there. I think that, wood pricing has kind of been in a bit of a valley right now. We're hoping to be able to lock in some LOIs through our BC Builders to kind of start, a little bit of early buyout, or at least, getting some LOIs signed. But, it's a bit of a challenge right now. I mean, we're working with the city of Denver. We're part of their AHART program. We've been moving through getting our permit. We think we're going to be able to pull permit in May, which is a little bit later than we wanted to, but it's sort of a moving target until we lock that GMP.
Right.
But the good news is that if construction costs exceed what I have for the cushion, there is potential that we could be able to raise some rents. HUD has announced that they're not releasing the 2023 rents now until May 15th, which will coincide with when we hope to pull permit. We'll have to update the appraisal with Wells Fargo and our numbers, but they said that they're amenable to that. It just is kind of a question, I think, of whether or not rents are going up, if they're going to stay stagnant. But that is an opportunity. We don't want to do that. Listen, I don't want to raise rents. People's incomes aren't raising nearly as much. So I don't want to do that, but it is an opportunity if construction costs do continue to increase.
Have you been hit with any supply chain issues? I'm hearing some stories out there that like electrical transformers are taking 18 months to get to job sites and things like that.
Oh, transformers. I mean, Excel's been a nightmare. The big thing right now is switchgear. That's been a 12 to 14 month wait of connecting the building with the transformer. This is one of 8 overall projects that MGL is currently working on. We're pretty dialed as far as what we need to be getting and when. So, we're trying to work through getting an LOI out there for switchgear immediately prior to close. But yeah, that's the big ticket item for us right now.
Thanks so much.
Any other questions? Director
Ladon,
Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, this is Rick Garcia, the Executive Director of the Department of Local Affairs. Just trying to sort out something here. The land was donated.
The land, oh, sure.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's a land lease.
Okay.
It's a $40,000 land lease.
But that's what I was trying to sort out. I think something said land. I think in a capital stack it said donated land. Or maybe I was looking at that incorrectly. But the write-up talked about a land lease, so that clarifies it.
Yep.
And then I'm curious about the IDF. You said that the magnet.
Capital magnet.
Yeah. Do you know off the top, is that part of the AHEF program that DOH funded to IDF to?
My guess is yes, but I honestly don't know. That'd be a question for IDF.
Andrew might have the answer.
Yeah.
It looks like Andrew might have the answer.
To date, IDF is indeed under contract to access AHIF funds, but we have not yet gotten a request for their first draw. What capital IDF plans to use, I think is still, that ball is in their court. They haven't formally asked us for capital for this specific project. Not that they won't, but they haven't yet.
All right, thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. I'm just curious, how many parking spots do you have? I was looking in the write-up, but it's hard for me to run the meeting and look back in the write-up to see if I can
Of
find
course.
it.
We had reduced one from potentially when this write-up was done, so we're at 18 spaces right now.
Okay.
50 units, 18 spaces, and 45 one bedrooms and 5 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
And that exceeds the Denver requirement, which is 17 spaces.
That is crazy, but
It's crazy, but you know what? With senior housing, especially, and that's what I was kind of, indicating with this location. I mean, this is the location that we need to be putting seniors in, where they don't have to.
well, they don't need their car.
They don't have to have it. There are other locations that you could argue that they still really do need it, but this is one of those examples of they do not. They can, they can. Oh, I should also add that we are providing bus passes for the first year. That's part of our OpEx. We are unable with this RTD to provide them after that, but we are working with our property manager to get the community to band together to do a NECO pass. So we're going to help kind of provide that infrastructure to help them get a NECO pass, but RTD is 50%. It's a 50% off for all seniors. I think I can't remember 55 and older or not, but this project is 62 and older, so it's definitely going to qualify.
And then will they be provided with transportation to go to grocery stores and places like that once a week or anything like that?
So the agreement with the church has 12 passenger vans, 12-person passenger vans. They have several of them that they use to do pickup and drop off for children that go to their daycare, as well as parishioners on the weekend to go to their services. So the agreement with the church is that the residents will be able to use those vans after 5 p.m. after the daycare has completed their drop-offs, and then on the weekends when it's outside of the time of the church service hours. So there is certainly opportunity to use them, and the church is they're very excited about that, and they really want to be involved.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we will move on to St. Francis Center West and turning things over to Demetra English.
Hello, I'd like to introduce Tom Lairs and Ryan Jones to present the St. Francis Center West.
Thank you, Dee. Hi, everyone. Ryan Jones. I'm working with the St. Francis Center, and we have Tom Lairs here as well, who's the executive director of the St. Francis Center. And happy to present the St. Francis Center West, which is located at 221 North Federal Boulevard in Denver. And this project is 60 units, 59 units serving 59 supportive housing units serving seniors age 62 and up. This project has been awarded tax credits and 59 project-based vouchers through DOH, and we're well on our way to getting permits, it looks like this spring and no later. And right now the site is being used as a safe outdoor space. So it's an interesting story being able to serve a spectrum of individuals going forward. That safe outdoor space will be ending by July 1st, which is our closing date at this point. So it's a very important project that we're working on, and it will be St. Francis Center's third tax credit deal and fourth affordable deal overall. So they're certainly gaining traction in serving this population, and a lot of what they do is centered around supportive housing, and this will be their first senior supportive housing deal. So very exciting, and I wanted to pass it over to Tom to see if he wanted to share something, and we're certainly willing and eager to answer questions. Tom, I assume you're on.
I am. Hi. I'm Tom Lairs, the Executive Director of St. Francis Center. Pleased to be with all of you today. And I just want to offer a quote to begin. I am not leaving until they take me out feet first. This is one of our residents in St. Francis Apartment speaking to, not negatively, but it's actually her love of her space, her community, and her home. And that's what we're trying to create with this new project, a place where people feel their home, where they have a community surrounding them, and for many people, a place off the streets. The senior population, as we have heard from both our outreach teams and our day services teams, is a growing population. Elizabeth, who heads up our outreach program, said they're seeing more and more seniors, 60s, 70s, and even 80s, ending up on the streets in their cars, in a blanket rolled up in an alley, or in some of the camps. And some of the stories relate to the rent going up in apartments where people who perhaps worked all their lives and are living on Social Security can't afford rent increases like $300 a month. So we are really trying to help those folks who are out on the streets, and many of whom have been great members of our community throughout their lives. One of the important parts of our apartment buildings is community, where people have the opportunity to learn about their neighbors, learn who they live next to, and opportunities to gather together for meals, for programs, for outings. We have vans that take people to shop, take people to events. And one of the other key pieces of what happens in our apartments is that we have staff who are trauma informed. And that would be both supportive services staff, but also the management, building management staff. And why that is so critical these days is because if people understand each other and try to understand where people have come from, people are treated much more respectfully, with dignity, and their humanity is upheld by people. Again, many of these people are on fixed incomes, and so we try to make sure that people are in a situation where any services that are available to them are, we work with them to make sure if they can access food stamps, they can get that. Make sure that they are in healthcare situations so that their health improves as they are living in our apartment buildings. Very, very important that people get a sense of life that's different in their own home than it was on the streets for them. So those are a few of the pieces that I think we as a community in Colorado feel that everybody should be treated with dignity. And this is certainly, having your own home is just give one other example of that. When we opened a building a couple of years ago, the first 3 people in were women who had lived for quite a while on the streets. And they walked into the building and they started crying because they said, "This is where we're living now. How wonderful."
That's
Thanks.
fantastic. Thanks, Tom. Do we have any questions about this project? Tim?
Thanks, LaDawn. You know, I think this may be the first supportive housing project we've seen that's specifically for seniors, and maybe not the last. So you could be a pilot for what's becoming a trend. But I guess my question is, how do you envision the services being different, if at all, in what you might see in more of a typical supportive housing project for people of all ages?
Yeah, important distinction there, Tim, especially maybe for some of us who are getting older. What do we need that's different? And because we have worked with seniors before, we've kind of learned over the years what they need. And what they need is access to health professionals. That's a very key thing. Either us bringing, one of our case managers bringing them, or making sure that they have accessible transportation. The other thing we've learned is that, might seem like a small thing, but that buildings have 2 elevators, not just one, because sometimes elevators don't work. And it's really important for people who need access to be able to get up to the 3rd floor or 4th floor without walking the stairs. People's diets are different. We need to help them with that. People are often pretty isolated because perhaps they don't have friends or families who are still involved with their lives. So we try to really build in place community activities where people feel like they're not alone. Because as one of our program directors, housing directors said, probably the greatest challenge for people who are seniors living in their apartments is loneliness. And so we try to make sure there's that interactive piece.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, so we are moving on to the Housing Authority of the City and County of Denver, also Demetra.
Hi, I'd like to introduce Haley Jodell and Aaron Clark to present the project.
Hi all, and I have a couple slides that I'll just share now. Let's see. Okay. Can you all see my screen?
We can.
Perfect. Great. So I'll just give a little bit of background on Soul Apartments, which is our next and second to last phase of development in Sun Valley, part of DHA's Choice Neighborhoods Initiative grant. So Soul Apartments is a proposed 169-unit multifamily development that'll be located at the corner of 10th and Bryant in Sun Valley. It and Jolie, which was presented at State Housing Board a couple of months ago, were designed to be kind of the capstone phases of Sun Valley, right in the heart of Sun Valley. And Soul specifically was designed as a family community, given that it's right across from Fairview Elementary, down the street from DHA's proposed Riverfront Park, and really in the heart of this community. So the building is focused on providing mixed income housing for families of various sizes. As I mentioned, Soul is a part of DHA's Choice Neighborhoods grant through HUD, which was a grant in partnership with the City of Denver to redevelop the Sun Valley former public housing neighborhood into new mixed income housing for the community. So this is the final phase of development under our CNI grant. This phase included both Jolie and Soul. And when Soul begins construction, DHA will be closing out and completing that grant program. This is our second to last phase of development in Sun Valley itself. We are also developing Flow, a senior property, which is the final phase, anticipated to break ground later this spring. Soul is anticipated to close and start construction in late February or early March. Some background on the unit mix. Soul is a little bit complicated. It's a similar structure to Jolie. So the State Housing Board may be familiar with some of the nuances of its structuring. Because it's a mixed income building with greater than 20% of its units allocated as market rate housing, and some of those unit allocation requirements are requirements of our Choice Neighborhoods grant. Because of that percentage of market rate units, we split out our LIHTC units from our market rate units into 2 separate legal condos that are together in one building using the small planned community legal structure. So this structure allows us to develop a mixed income building in which the market rate units are sprinkled throughout the building. So, market rate next to a LIHTC unit, all the units together in one building, but we are able to legally separate the 2 entities, and we're also able to finance the 2 entities separately. So in your packet, you'll note that the funding request is specific to the LIHTC condominium portion of this project. That condominium entity contains 132 units. These units range from 1 to 4 bedrooms in size. So we're serving families as part of the LIHTC condominium unit, and serves tenants earning between 20 and 80% of AMI. So you'll notice that the CDOH funding request is really just specific to that LIHTC entity. In addition, one note on the unit mix is, as part of DHA's redevelopment of Sun Valley, through each phase of our redevelopment, we have replaced existing public housing units that were part of the 333 units on the original Sun Valley home site. Soul will contain 79 replacement public housing units that are funded with project-based vouchers. Those units are intended to replace the existing public housing, and so those residents of public housing have a first right to return to these units. That's something that we're excited about. We're close to starting to lease up our Greenhouse and Thrive projects just a couple blocks away in Sun Valley, and are starting to see families getting ready to move back into the neighborhood, which is really exciting. On the market rate side, the market rate condominium entity will include 37 units. Those are comprised specifically of 1 and 2 bedroom units, and 13 of those 37 will be physically structured as live-work units. Those live-work units will front 10th Avenue. One thing you'll note in a moment when I show a site plan is you'll see that one building of Soul is quite long. It spans the length of nearly a full city block. And so those 13 live-work units are intended to activate the street, create opportunities for small business development, and they will be leased and managed through our Youth Employment Academy affiliated nonprofit, who will also be leasing and managing our live-work units over at Jolie across the street. Just to note the unit mix together, the property serves tenants earning from 20% of AMI up to market rate, 37 market rate units, and 132 LIHTC units for a total of 169 units. So you'll see here in the upper left-hand corner the location of Soul within the full Sun Valley redevelopment. Soul is, as I mentioned, along with Jolie, really in the heart of the neighborhood and across from Fairview Elementary. I'll show a site plan in a moment that shows some of the walking paths and outdoor public space on the ground floor that Soul creates that are really intended to help to build the community and create amenities that are both for the residents at Soul and for the general public. You can also see in the upper left-hand corner our first 2 phases of development, Gateway North and South, which are leased up, Thriving Greenhouse to the north, which are leasing up this spring, Jolie under construction, and Soul, which is anticipated to close later this spring. A couple of notes on the building itself. Soul is comprised of 2 buildings connected by an elevated walking bridge that allows the 2 buildings to share amenities, which include an outdoor elevated amenity deck, a fitness center, and several interior community and community rooms for service space, classes, things like that. So 2 buildings, one building which fronts 10th Avenue is 6 stories. The second building is 4 stories on Bryant. This slide gives a bunch of the information that I went over already. Our phasing for Sun Valley. You'll see again that Soul is anticipating to start construction this spring and is our final phase of development as part of the Choice Neighborhoods Initiative grant. And here you can see a site plan showing our 2 buildings that are part of Soul, as well as some of the ground floor amenities, including walking paths that lead between Fairview Elementary and the broader Sun Valley community, 2 plazas on the east and west corners, as well as a playground that is nested back from the street that will be accessible to residents and to the public. And
Great, thank
I'll open
you.
up for questions.
Do we have any questions? Tim?
Thanks. I'm just curious, it's been going on for quite a while now, this Sun Valley redevelopment project. And do you have any idea from phase 1, which is leased up, how many is a percentage or in total numbers, how many people actually were able to move back into the neighborhood?
That is a good question. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I know for Thrive and Greenhouse, which together are about 260 units, I know that we have a list of 50 families interested in moving back into the community.
Okay, thanks.
Great.
I just realized I didn't have my, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I didn't have my mic down, apologies. Just wanted to add that we do know, because we stay in close contact with the families that we relocated from the original Sun Valley homes, and throughout that community, there's such a close connection that folks have that nationally on large scale projects like this, you're lucky to see about 15% of the original residents return. We are projecting that number to be about 92%. So of the total numbers, we're really looking to have really almost everyone that had lived there before is itching to come back.
That's great.
We'd
James?
heard that originally. I was just wondering if that had actually worked out to be true. That sounds great.
It has, yes.
James?
Hi, is there anybody else in the queue?
Sam?
Let's have Sam ask his questions, and then I want to go last.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Looks like a great project, and just kind of curious as to why the decision was made to condominiumize. Was it because of financing or property taxes or both?
That's a great question. It would have been a lot less complicated to not condominiumize. Generally, as a rule of thumb, you are only able to have 20% of your units within a tax credit project be market rate. This project is, I think it's right around 25% of that total 169 units designated as market rate. Because we were above that 20% threshold, we needed to either split the 2 condos out or reduce the number of market rate units. And a requirement of the Choice Neighborhoods grant is to essentially replace all 333 public housing units, add an additional 333 affordable units, and then add an additional 333 market rate units. So we weren't really able to adjust downward the number of market rate units in the building.
Thanks so much.
James?
Hi, Andrew. This is for Andrew. I know that we were talking about a quorum, and I heard that Anthea should be falling off here shortly. If she falls off, will we still have a quorum if I recuse myself on this project?
So if you recuse yourself on this project, James, we will. And Thea then is recusing herself on the next 2 that she has some dealings with. So I think it will work out.
Okay, thank you.
And Anthea, you're still on, right?
I am.
Okay, so why don't we vote on what we've heard from already? So it sounds like we need to vote on the first 2 projects, St. Stephen and St. Francis. No conflicts on that one? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve those two projects?
So moved.
Second by Candace.
Thanks. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so next we'll vote on the Housing Authority of the City and County of Denver, and James is going to recuse himself on that one. So do I have a motion to approve that project?
So moved.
Great. And second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that one passes as well. And then we'll hear from the next two projects.
Real quick, Ladon, who moved on that one?
Ryan Moses.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Thank you everyone for doing it that way so I could remember how to divide it up. And now we are moving on to 15 Sable Apartments. And we are getting short on time, so I just want to remind the presenters to keep it to 5 to 6 minutes for your presentations. And I will turn it over to Wayne McClary.
Okay, we have Eric Brodell to describe the 15 Sable Apartments, 154 unit project in North Aurora by the town center.
Great. Hi, everyone. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks so much for the consideration. We're excited to present 15 Sable. I would note that I'm joined here by my co-developer, Ted Featherstone, and then Elisa Wilson with SB Clark, I believe, is also on for us. We'll keep our opening remarks fairly brief. I know we're a little bit behind time and want to answer questions as applicable, but we're very excited to present 15 Sable. It's a 154 unit family affordable project at a TOD site in Aurora, at the intersection of Sable and Ellsworth. There's a rendering here. Just a quick background on DBG, because I know a lot of this stuff was provided in Wayne's write-up, but we're a Western region affordable housing developer with a presence in 7 Western states, including Colorado. We entered Colorado about 5 years ago in 2018. This will be our 4th project in the state. 2 of the previous projects that we have that I have shown here, Rangeview and Academy Heights, we partnered with you guys at CDOH, and I think have been successful projects. Rangeview is actually just a couple miles up the road and was finished last year and closed out and stabilized. Academy Heights, we plan on finishing this year, again, with you guys as a partner. And so this would be our 4th project in the state, 3rd with you guys. The other big thing I just wanted to emphasize with our group is that we're a vertically integrated group with construction and management capabilities in-house, and really a long-term holder of these projects, which I'll come back to the importance of that. But just really quickly on the site itself. So it's 154 units I mentioned at the corner of Sable and Ellsworth on about 2¼ acres. It'll be 154 units with a mix of 1s, 2s, and 3s. About half the unit mix are 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom units. And we're also utilizing the income averaging provision here. So we have 12 of the units at 30% AMI, 36 at 70%, and 106 at 60. And I think with this location, which we're really excited about, not only is it a fantastic place, we think, to have the deeper affordability, but I think it's also the type of location that really helps support the 70% units. And so the last slide here is just a connectivity slide, just a few highlights, which we think is one of the big selling points of this project in general is the location, but it's less than 10 minutes from the RTD station. It's adjacent to a bus stop. It's a 12-minute walk to the city center park. It's right on the I-225, excuse me. And then there's shopping with the Target and Aurora City Center Place retail just south of it. There's a bunch of future development at the city center just south of what the visual is here. But we think this is really kind of a live, work, play type location, a TOD site, and in one of the rare ones that we think is left in Aurora. So we're very excited about that. Just to wrap up on the financing, we have a special limited partnership with the Housing Authority of Aurora. We also have $4 million in bond cap dedicated to this project. It will be a straight 4% deal. And we're actually deferring 100% of our development fee on this deal. I mentioned at the top, we'd circle back to being a long-term owner. Obviously, it's been a tough environment with rates and costs and such, but we have the objective with all our projects to own and manage these as affordable projects the long term, which we think gives us a little bit more flexibility around deferring a larger portion of our fee. And so part of the request here, which is 3.85 million that we've requested for 154 units, comes out to exactly 25,000 a unit. But what we were hoping to demonstrate is that we really just requested what we needed for this project and didn't want to take anything more. Obviously, I think we're out on the margins anyway with a deferred fee at that level. I would note, though, that as Wayne can probably attest to, it's similar to what we did at Academy Heights and Rangeview with you guys. So I'll stop there and open it up to any questions that you guys have.
Great. Do we have any questions? Okay. We will move on then.
Thank you all.
Wait, Sam has a question.
Oh,
Thank you, LaDon. Eric, looks like a good project. I was just wondering, where are you in getting hard bids on it? Your numbers are astonishingly low at 177 a square foot.
I think one of the benefits is that we're vertically integrated. We actually will have kind of our drawings in a place that we can go out to bid as of Friday. And we're planning on closing on March 15th. Just based on our activity, though, in the market, which we're in the market with with Academy Heights and another one up in North Glen right now, we feel pretty good about the numbers that we have and feel like the contingencies that we have in place will work for us. And I think, I would also mention, just with the deferred fee that we have, our partners also feel confident in our ability to perform. We're working on a pretty close closing timeline here in the next month and a half or so.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, moving on to Castle Rock Senior. And this is a supplemental one, and I will turn it over to Wayne.
Okay, we have Ahmed Abdul Hamid and Elisa Wilson to discuss the supplemental funding request for a 200-unit senior project in Castle Rock.
Just going to share my screen as well. Okay, are you able to see it now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I don't want to take up too much time here, but here to present Castle Rock Senior. We were in front of the board here on October 11th for our original request, and obviously we're back here for a supplemental request today. So just to give a quick refresher, we are Ulysses Development Group. I'm a senior associate here on the development team. We're Denver-based. We're an affordable housing developer and owner. And we specialize in that new construction and preservation of affordable housing. Just a refresher on the site location. So this site is in Castle Rock. It's in the Meadows Master Development Community. It's a 5.5 acre site, and it's zoned for senior multifamily by right. Currently, we anticipate closing on the land and starting construction in April 2023. So just more on the current status. Since we last came in front of you on October 11th, we've secured all other financing commitments. So LIHTC equity will be through Raymond James. Our construction financing will be provided by UMB. Our permanent financing will be a Freddie Mac forward loan. And then we also have received our real estate tax exemption commitment through partnering with Douglas County Housing Partnerships. At this point in the entitlement process, we are nearly complete. We anticipate receiving our building permit in March from the town of Castle Rock, and that will effectively deem us as fully approved through the town and greenlighted to start construction. And our general contractor will be mobilizing to the site in April to begin construction when we close on the financing and on the land. So just more information on why we are back here today for our supplemental request. So when we first applied on July 1st, interest rates are obviously a lot different. So since July 1st, interest rates have continued to climb. Construction costs have also increased, and then we've also seen an increase in the TAP and impact fees from the town of Castle Rock as they just published their 2023 fee schedule. So construction costs increased by about $1.5 million. The details are obviously outlined in your package and what happened there. Interest rates increased by about 60 basis points from when we applied in July to today, with a peak of about 130 basis point increase in October when rates were at their highest. That just demonstrates the significant volatility we've been all seeing here with the rates. And then, as I mentioned, Castle Rock published their TAP and impact fee schedule for 2023, which increased the total cost that this project would pay to the town by about $1 million. So to help close the financing gap from all of these items, we have since taken on value engineering our construction scope, in which we're able to offset that $1.5 million increase by reducing our construction costs by $500,000. We went back to the town of Castle Rock and requested an increase in our TAP and impact fee waiver by an additional $100,000 to total $500,000, which is the highest we would be able to get from the town. We also implemented income averaging and added some 70% units, trading some 60% units for 70% units, which resulted in a $770,000 increase in debt size and capacity. And then we also increased our deferred fee by $1.1 million. So I'll stop there and open up for any questions.
Do I have any questions? Okay, it doesn't seem like we have any questions for this project. So are we ready to take a vote on 15 Sable Apartments and Castle Rock Senior? Can I have a motion to approve those?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Candace, second by Sam. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, congratulations, everyone. And we will see everyone again in 2 weeks.
Thank you,
Thank
LaDon.
you. Thank you, Tim.
Yep, thanks.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.